What changes are in store for the SAT College Entrance Exam in 2016? And how will they impact ODEA students? Join us as we learn more about these major changes coming up next in the chat room. Welcome to the chat room. I'm Frank O'Gara, your host today. The SAT and the SAT subject tests are designed to assess academic readiness for college. These exams provide a path to opportunities, financial support, and scholarships. When students open their SAT test books in spring 2016, they'll encounter an SAT that is more focused and useful than ever before in measuring the college and career-ready skills required for success in the 21st centuries. With me in the studio today to discuss these changes are two guests: Brian Hartman, Director for the International K-12 Initiative for the College Board, and our own resident expert on the SAT, Dr. Adrian Talley, our Deputy Director for ODEA. Welcome to both of you gentlemen.
Glad to be here.
I think this is a really important topic for us given our strong focus on college and career readiness today. And we're thrilled to have you here, Brian, to talk to us about it. How did you come to work for the College Board?
First, I'd just like to thank you, Frank, and Dr. Talley, the ODEA community. It really is a pleasure to be here. The College Board, we value this relationship with ODEA, and we are committed to helping students become more college ready and career ready and school systems throughout the world. So it's really a great pleasure. I actually started my career as an English teacher, a high school English teacher, and from there I moved overseas and I was working at an independent school in South America. I was fortunate enough to then move into an admin role. I became a dean of students and then a high school and middle school principal. I did some college counseling also with the students. And then a couple of years ago, it was time to move back to the U.S., and so I joined the College Board. My school in South America had used College Board programs and services, and we had used them effectively. And so I was familiar with them. I believed in the power of these programs and services, programs like Advanced Placement or AP, assessments like PSAT and SAT.
Sure.
And so really now in my role on the College Board's international team, I work sort of on the other side of the desk. I'm working with schools to support their efforts to use these programs and services to serve students and allow educators to practice their craft in the classroom in the most effective way possible.
Well, you bring some great field experiences to what you're doing today, actually. Well, we're glad to have you here. Let's start, Mr. Hartman, by talking about what the SAT is, first of all.
As you indicated in your opening remarks, the SAT, it is an assessment. It's a test, it's an exam, and it is a way to measure how students are doing in high school. And specifically, how are they doing with respect to those skills that are most necessary for college and career success. And the SAT, throughout the years, long history of success, and the SAT to this day remains the best predictor, especially when paired with students' GPA. It is the best predictor of future college success. And we're very proud of the SAT, and we're excited about the redesign.
Great. Why is it important today, in today's world, the SAT?
It's important because as different as education internationalizes and as different systems of education and schools are using different curricular programs or they're using different assessments, ways to measure how students are doing, the SAT really it's a global anchor. It is a consistent way, a standardized way to assess how students are doing in terms of their college preparedness. And college preparedness really as a priority in the ODEA system and as a priority in other public and private school systems is really the focus. I think the SAT, part of its value is that it can drive instruction. Assessment when integrated with instruction or when linked to instruction can really be powerful.
Why the change in the SAT?
There are statistics around college and career readiness that indicate that right now, only 43% of the students who take the SAT meet that benchmark of college and career readiness. We know that, as a country, as an international community, we need to do more to serve students. The SAT redesign is a way to focus on those things that are disproportionately important, those skills that are disproportionately important in college and career environments. The body of research that is, increasingly, sort of being relied upon in different curricular, programs and different assessments. This body of research, it tells us very clearly that there are certain things that students need in order to be successful when they get to university, and there are certain skills that students need to be successful in the workplace. So, the SAT redesign is a way to focus more on those things. It's also a way to make the SAT more open, more transparent. There is, of course, some anxiety around assessment. We hope that the SAT, the redesigned SAT in particular, as it links more fully with instruction, that it will be a way for students to really, embrace skill development and want to do well in school. We really hope that the openness of it will be less intimidating for students.
Okay, let's talk about the
I just want to add,
yeah.
I think also, and Mr. Hartman can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the new design, it continues with the rigor that needs to be there, but there seems to be more relevance to what students are learning in their classroom, and not so much of the rote memorization of vocabulary words and from that nature. Am I right in my belief on there?
Yeah, you are, Dr. Talley, and I'm glad that you brought that up. When we discuss what those key changes are, we'll see that there is a greater reliance on using evidence to substantiate claims, in using vocabulary, to your point, that is, the kind of vocabulary that students are going to encounter when they get to college, and the kind of vocabulary that's important in the workplace.
When we talk about rigor and relevance, they're words that we hear frequently today in schools, but what do they really mean? What should parents hear when we talk about rigor and relevance? Does it just mean that for rigor that it's harder?
No, actually, and I think those two R's are vital for any school setting. The relevance is helping students to connect what they're doing to their life as children, as students, and to what they will be doing down the road. I often say that I can remember taking geometry and memorizing all the theorems, but if you ask me now what those theorems were, I really wouldn't remember, because unfortunately there was no relevance. I talked to an architect recently. His geometry teacher, however, made it relevant, and that's why he went into becoming an architect. So the relevance piece is helping students see that we're not doing it just to do it, but it's a connection to real world and applications. The rigor piece is not doing 100 problems. It's really going deeper, having a full understanding of the work that's being done, and also understanding that there are multiple ways to solve a problem, and that the rigor piece is understanding that there are, there's more than one way to solve any problem that's there. So the rigor is also differentiating in the classroom and ensuring that we're challenging every child.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the changes that that students are going to see and teachers will see, and what students will see in the redesign. Well,
there are 8 key changes that we are focusing on, and I'd like to mention that in an attempt to make this transparent, the redesigned SAT, all of this information is available on our redesigned SAT website, deliveringopportunity.org. But there are 8 key changes. A couple of the ones that we can point out. Using relevant, back to that term relevant, relevant words in context. So right now, students who take the SAT may be asked to complete sentences with missing vocabulary words. there are, 2 blanks and the student is to choose among the multiple choice options the words that best fill in those blanks. What we'll do, and this is, where you, encounter some of the, the vocabulary that the SAT is famous for, the SAT words. So what we are attempting to do is provide longer prompts that will give more context and ask students to choose words that are not necessarily fancy vocabulary words, but that are real words in real contexts, and the student will then attempt to fit the vocabulary word into the larger context of the passage. Another change will be command of evidence. The heart of the SAT redesign is moving to evidence-based reading and writing and math. We want students to, much like they do in real life, much like they do in university when they study, support their arguments with evidence. So if a question on the evidence-based reading and writing section of the SAT asks a student about the author's argument, the follow-up question will say, where did you find that? What quote do you find in this passage that provides evidence for this being the author's argument? And so I think this is what students are doing in the classroom. This is what they're doing with teachers when they sit and they read a text, or when they have debates in classrooms. They are relying on evidence. This is what professionals do in a workplace. When you make a pitch to your boss or your colleagues, they will ask you, why do you think that? And so that is a greater reliance on using evidence to support arguments is going to be at the heart of the SAT redesign.
Are there any other changes that will be of particular interest to students?
When students sit for the redesigned SAT in the spring of 2016, they'll notice that the essay section has changed. We have asked students to approach the essay a little bit differently in the future than they're doing right now. Our essay will be focused on analyzing a source. We'll ask students, in fact, the prompt for the essay will pretty much be the same across administrations. What will change is a passage that the students will see. And the prompt will simply ask the student, evaluate the argument below. What evidence does the author use to support the argument, and is that argument effective? And so the student will write an analysis piece rather than sort of a longer sort of opinion piece as they're doing now. Another change that students will notice is that they will not lose points for a wrong answer. Currently, students lose 1/4 of 1 point for each incorrect answer that they bubble in. In the future, we will simply award 1 point for a correct answer and 0 points for either a blank answer or an incorrect answer.
Let's talk for a minute, Dr. Talley, about our own student performance on the SAT.
The DA should be very pleased with how our children are performing. Participation. The percentage of our graduates who participate on the SATs is around 75%, compared to the national average of roughly, I think, 52%. So 3/4 of our students are taking the SATs, and that's a great thing, because what we also have to remember is the student score is good for about 5 years after they take the test. So a student who takes the SAT as a senior, if he or she may not go to college immediately, they may go a couple years down the road, so they've already taken the test and they can use it for entrance into a college or a university. Our average score, our score for the critical reading, is better than the national average of 500. Our score is about 508 compared to the national average, which is about 493, if I recall correctly. And then, of course, our students, our African American students and our Hispanic students, are outscoring their national peers. So we've done very well. We have work though, that we can do, and especially in the area of mathematics. And I think our focus on mathematics as an organization going forward will help us and improve in that area. I think for our students, what they see, and many of our children continue to take more than one test, so they're taking the SATs more than once, and that's helpful to them as they go forward.
And the subject tests as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We also offer for our 10th and 11th graders the PSAT.
Yes.
Can we talk a little bit about what's our rationale for that? What does that do for us, and how does it help students?
Well, for our children, I think the wonderful thing about it is that it helps prepare them for the SATs that they'll be taking later. But also, it serves as a way to help students who are going to apply for national merit, and it also serves as a way to for students to see where they have areas of weakness or areas of strength, so that they can spend some time preparing for the work that they need to do when they take the SATs as a senior. For schools, it works as a way to look at what they're doing within their academics. Where are the areas that our children are doing well within a school, because we get a report that helps us understand that. And then we also look at, schools can then determine what they're going to do to support and change the academics, the instructional program in their school. And a final thing I think I will say about it is, it also serves as a way to help students understand for which classes they may want to take advanced placement courses, because it provides a lot of resources for AP potential, which then, if I'm a student, I can look at my results. I have my individual results and say, I really have AP potential in maybe AP English Lit or AP World History. And then I may want to take those courses when it becomes ready for me to take.
Dr. Talley, I was thinking about the work, and we didn't talk about it earlier, but the work that you've done in the last year and a half with the SAT group around the world. Did you want to comment on that?
Gladly, and it's not the work I've done necessarily, it's the work that many people have done across the whole organization. We formed 3 committees, one within our stateside schools and one in Europe and one in Pacific. And the committees have been made up of administrators, some teachers, principals, and also central office people, math ISSs as well, to examine what we can do to support our students in the achievement on the SATs. Through the committee work, we've been looking at how we share information on PSAT data, what work schools should be doing from that standpoint, webinars we've created to help our staff improve in what they're doing and to learn about and build their capacity really on understanding what the results mean, and also sharing SAT data more readily with our schools so that they are aware of how their children are performing on the SATs, so that they can provide support for children when they are going to take it again. I think this has been really beneficial across the whole organization. And from it, we've learned a lot. And this one I'm about to tell you is really simple, but it needs to be remembered. Every student going in to take the SAT needs to have a good night's sleep before they take the SAT and wake up with a full breakfast available for them. We sometimes will have students who will take the SAT after playing football the night before, and that's not really for you're going to be on your best for when that happens. So that good night's sleep, good breakfast going in, and preparing before you take the test. Do some little work along the way before the exam happens, and you'll be ready for it.
Okay. Now, preparation is a huge topic with students. Can we talk a little bit about the advice that you have for students with regard to SAT prep?
Well, I think one thing that Dr. Talley alluded to is the PSAT. You know, the PSAT also is going to be redesigned. That will debut in October of this next school year, so October 2015.
Okay.
Students will sit for the PSAT, and it'll be a redesigned PSAT, and that will be aligned with the redesigned SAT that will launch in the spring of 2016. And the PSAT, you know, there's a PSAT as early as 8th grade. You could take, PSAT, and the instructional resources are wonderful. The counseling resources are excellent. You know, we are also very proud of the fact that with the SAT redesign, we are also partnering with Khan Academy to develop world-class prep that is 100% free for students all over the world. And so we are committed to increasing access to you know, educational opportunities at the College Board, and the Khan Academy partnership is something that we believe is a way to address some of the inequalities that arise in, you know, owing to test prep. Certain students in certain locations or of a certain, you know, class have access to test prep programs and companies, and others don't. You know, we would like to level the playing field, and we think that all students should equitably have access to the same resources. One feature of, you know, the Khan Academy partnership that I think is really exciting is the fact that you know, our goal of really integrating instruction and assessment, you know, the Khan Academy partnership allows us to do that because students and teachers are already using Khan resources in the classroom. There are learning modules, there are practice problems. Students can create personalized accounts and dashboards. When students sit for the PSAT, they'll be able to send their scores to their personalized Khan Academy site, and that can serve as a diagnostic. They will have a personalized roadmap online. Again, this is completely free for students and teachers everywhere.
Well, that's good news for parents and teachers and students, yeah, for sure.
Right. And teachers, you know, will be able to use Khan in the way that many of them already are within their own classroom. So, you know, I think the SAT with the redesign and with the Khan Academy partnership really is going to become deeply integrated into what, you know, as a reflection of what students and teachers are already doing in the classroom. And you know, I think a teacher that could create a coaching account on Khan and receive progress reports, you know, monitor how a student is doing as they work toward mastery on certain skills within the Khan platform, that will be helpful. You know, so I think we're really excited about that partnership.
And I just want to add, I think no student should take the SAT without having a plan before they go into it. And really the plan begins when the child is in middle school and sort of creating a 6-year plan down the road with looking at the courses you're taking and then how you prepare and prep for the SATs. And so I will reiterate, the PSATs, having a student, a parent, a counselor in a school review the results of your PSAT is invaluable.
That's an important discussion they should be having.
They really must have that discussion. There's a wealth of information that's available to children to examine their results and to look at what they need to do. We pay for the PSAT for every child in 10th and 11th grade. That doesn't happen across every school district in the United States. And so using that information, parents and children can map out what they need to do in order to do better on the SATs. And remember, scoring well on the SAT opens doors for children, meaning scholarships and getting into your school of choice.
Are there other tools other than the ones that Mr. Hartman mentioned that are available to our DS students to help with SAT prep?
All schools have school counselors with whom students should be meeting on a regular basis. We have given out information to all schools on how to use the PSAT data, so all of that's available to them. And then I would also recommend that we have through College Board a lot of resources that are available in our schools.
Now, how is one of the very important focuses for our school system is college and career ready? Okay, it's the #1 priority for that our director has set forth. So, how does all of this fit together? The PSAT, the SAT, the focus on college and career ready.
One of the things, and it's interesting, you talked about, and I'm going to paraphrase you here, and so correct me if I'm wrong in my paraphrasing, providing the evidence with regards to when the students are taking the SATs and providing evidence to support their answer on the SATs. That's a direct connection to the Common Core and the requirements that are in there, because we want our children to be able to do that. So from my vantage point, and I'll leave it up to Brian to talk about this as well, I see the new design to be exactly connected to where we have to go as an organization with college and career readiness. What we're thinking about is not just preparing students for graduating and walking across the stage. It's about succeeding, doing well in college, but then life after college and a career, life work. He's already talked about the assessments are some of the things that we have to do within our professional work. And so I see the direct connection there.
I think you're right. You know, the changes in the SAT are all based on research that has identified those skills that are increasingly important or disproportionately important for success in university and in careers. So, you know, the SAT focusing on these things, you know, our hope is that students will have a clearer sense of what skills they need to develop in using the PSAT and taking the SAT and using the Khan Academy resources. They'll be able to see which skills are my strengths, which ones are opportunities for improvement, and then teachers and counselors and parents and students can get together to practice those skills and improve those skills that are weaker. You know, we want students to focus on skill mastery. The SAT, other College Board programs, the work that your schools and your teachers are doing around the world, you know, focuses on bringing students to mastery. That, of course, will allow them to be more successful students in university, more successful professionals, more qualified professionals when they enter the workforce.
Just recently we did a math webinar for all of our secondary math teachers about the changes that the College Board is doing with the SATs, because we know that our current sophomores will be the ones who will have to take it as when they take the redesigned PSAT, and when they also take it as seniors, they'll be taking the new redesigned SAT. And the purpose for talking to our teachers now was by sharing the information, the teachers, can begin to look at their teaching practices that will help our children do as well as possible on the SATs.
If teachers or students or parents want more information on the changes or on the tools that are available for prep, where can they go from your perspective, Brian?
The College Board does have a number of free public websites that address this. I think we can show them on the screen. The one specific to the SAT redesign is, as I said before, deliveringopportunity.org. There are other counseling resources. Our college and career search site called Big Future is a wonderful resource for students. They are able to access information about colleges and universities all over the world to learn more about those colleges and universities. You know, what is the profile of a typical student? You know, what is the setting? What are the programs of study? What is the environment or the culture like at this particular university? And they can gather information that way, and they can search according to their interests, and then they can take a look at also, you know, what are the admissions criteria for this university? Do I qualify? Am I sort of in that range? And so, you know, there are so many options out there. You know, students who think that they have to go to a particular university because it's the one that they've heard of or it's a name brand, you know, maybe are missing other opportunities because there are, you know, 4,500 universities in this country alone, the U.S., that students really could be exploring. And, you know, I think the Big Future site allows students to find what we call a best fit university, what is a university that is right for them as an individual.
Dr. Talley, anything to add there? Or?
I think what's also very important in this whole process is it's important to have conversations, and I talk about the other R is relationships. We talked about rigor, we talked about relevance, and then the next one is the relationship piece. And that's the relationship students will have with teachers and with their parents. And parents coming into schools, and many of our schools will provide nights where they have college nights, and we'll arrange that to happen. Schools on their websites will have information about the SATs and how to take them, and dates for the assessments. But that relationship, being willing and able to go into a school, and for counselors and for all staff to work with students and say, are you prepared? Are you ready for this? What can I do to support you? And I know our teachers are doing this now, all of them are, and our goal is to ensure their success, our children.
Crucial conversations.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything else, Brian, today that we should share with our listeners that we didn't get a chance to talk about from your perspective?
You know, I would encourage them to visit the different websites that we're showing them, the ones that we've mentioned. Like I said, the college boards, you know, we are a mission-driven organization. What our goal is to connect students with college success and opportunity. Those opportunities are out there. You know, I think the different websites and the different resources that a counseling office would have, students can proactively avail themselves of those things, and they may be pleasantly surprised with what they might find.
Well, we certainly appreciate and value the expertise that you brought to us today, and we thank you for sharing your time with us. And thank you as well, Dr. Talley, for joining us as we continue on this quest to ensure that every one of our students are college and career ready. Thank you very much to both of you.
Thank you very much, Frank.
Thank you for having us.
To learn more about the changes in the 2016 SAT, visit the College Board website at the link shown on your screen. Thank you for joining us in this edition of The Chat Room.